Rock changes fast, and a few one-hit wonders from the 60s, 70s, and 80s would get flat-out canceled if they dropped today.
Run, Joey, run, Joey, run.
You know, the kinds of tracks that would light up the internet in minutes.
Hot child in the city.
But relax, I'm not canceling anyone. Just showing how differently these songs would hit now. Stick around for the bonus. It's still sparking arguments, even today. Let's get into it.
Black Betty, bam lamb, whoa, Black Betty, bam lamb, Black Betty had a child, bam lamb.
Number 7. A hit built like a mini movie. Teenage lovers, raised voices, and trouble waiting at the door. One listen, and you knew things weren't ending well. David Geddes, Run, Joey, Run, 1975.
Run, Joey, run, Joey, run.
David Geddes wasn't aiming for subtlety. In 75, songwriter-producer Paul Vance, the bubblegum hitmaker behind Itsy Bitsy Teeny Weeny Yellow Polka Dot Bikini, and co-writer Jack Perricone tracked him down while Geddes was in law school at Wayne State in Detroit. They convinced him to record the melodrama in New York. What they cut was mid-70s tragedy at full volume, a desperate boyfriend, an armed, raging father, and a final gunshot.
I reached Julie's place. She ran to me with tip.
Crucially, the pleading voice of the girlfriend, Julie, was sung by Vance's daughter, Paula Vance. The song's climax hinges on Julie's sacrifice as she deliberately steps in front of her father's bullet to save Joey. Run, Joey, Run climbed to number 4 on the Billboard Hot 100 and hit number 1 in Cashbox before fading into cult status. Heard today, its storyline would stop modern listeners in their tracks before the chorus even hits.
I held her close. When I looked down, my hands were red.
Number 6. A pounding tom rhythm, a neon bright hook, and a music video built around a teenage frontwoman that would raise even more eyebrows today than it did in '82. Bow Wow Wow, I Want Candy, 1982. Bow Wow Wow already carried a charge before this single ever hit MTV. Former Sex Pistols Svengali, Malcolm McLaren, had poached members of Adam and the Ants, then built a new band around Annabella Lwin, who was in her mid-teens when I Want Candy broke, and even younger when the band first formed. McLaren leaned hard into that youth.
So sweet you make my mouth water.
A controversial album cover shoot with a 14-year-old Lwin posing nude sparked such outrage that her mother contacted Scotland Yard, triggering a child pornography investigation. The song itself, cut at Criteria Studios in Miami with producer Kenny Laguna, was a sharp, tom-driven rework of the Strangelove's 1965 hit. Bo Diddley beat, surf/guitar, and Annabella's fierce vocal right out front. Drop it now and the track would still kill on a playlist, but the marketing around a teenage singer would shut the campaign down before the first chorus. Number 5. A deadpan voice drifting through late-night static. A dusty, borderless rhythm with a strange glow around the edges. Wall of Voodoo, Mexican Radio, 1982.
I'm on a Mexican radio.
Wall of Voodoo never felt like a typical LA band. Their world was the after midnight AM dial where Mexican border blaster stations bled across the line and filled Stan Ridgway's head with fragments of voices and half-faded signals. Mexican radio grew straight out of that atmosphere. Recorded at Hit City West with producer Richard Mazda, the track leaned into deliberate exaggeration. Talk-sung lines, accent choices, border snapshots that hover between commentary and caricature.
Stand just a little. No comprende, it's a riddle.
Released in late '82, it crept onto playlists until it finally reached number 58 on the Billboard Hot 100 in 1983, their lone U.S. Hot 100 hit. The video only pushed things further. Face paint, Tijuana bullfight footage, and a symbolic collage of border town imagery. Today, the combined weight of its sonic and visual choices would trigger an immediate debate.
Tijuana, eating barbecued iguana.
Number 4. A sharp, jittery riff, a chorus that sounds playful until you look closer, and a metaphor listeners have never entirely agreed on. The Vapors, Turning Japanese, 1980. The Vapors came out of Guildford with tight suits, tighter songs, and a wound-up new wave tension. Bruce Foxton of The Jam spotted them early and helped steer them toward United Artists, which landed them with producer Vic Coppersmith Heaven. He pushed the edge, bright guitars, clipped rhythms, David Fenton singing like someone pacing a groove thin.
I want the doctor to take a picture so I can look at you from inside as well.
The verses sketch emotional overload, paranoia, fixation, spiraling thoughts. The friction sits in the chorus, which repeats the title phrase as a metaphor for feeling twisted, out of shape. No blatant insults, no direct depictions, just framing that wouldn't land the same with today's audience. They're only U.S. Top 40 hits, and one that listeners still debate decades later. These days, no one would let that chorus pass.
Turning Japanese, I think I'm turning Japanese, I really think so.
Number 3. A jug band groove, a sunlit hook everyone still hums. And hidden inside it, a line most people forgot was even there. Mungo Jerry, In the Summertime, 1970.
Sing along with us, dee-dee-dee-dee-dee, da-da-da-da-da, yeah, we're happy.
In the Summertime hit like a backyard explosion. Raymond Dorset's loose strum, that skiffle and washboard shuffle, the whole thing feeling raw and accidental. Recorded in a short session at Pi Studios in London, it shot to number 1 in the UK and number 3 in the US, turning Dorset into the face of a global summer anthem. But tucked inside those good time vibes is a lyric that wouldn't survive a modern edit. A casual nod to having a drink and getting behind the wheel.
Have a drink, have a drive, go out and see what you can find.
In 1970, it barely registered. A throwaway moment of late 60s bravado. Today, anything resembling a wink at drunk driving would shut a release down instantly. A feel-good classic with a single line that would never clear the runway now.
The winter's here, yeah, it's party time. Bring a bottle, wagon back, 'cause it'll soon be summertime.
Number 2. A velvet falsetto drifting over a slow late-night groove, and a lyric that hits hard once you realize what it's describing. Nick Gilder, Hot Child in the City, 1978.
Hot child in the city.
Nick Gilder didn't write Hot Child in the City as a fantasy. He said it came from seeing teenage girls on the streets of Los Angeles, especially Hollywood Boulevard, being pulled into prostitution, the kind of exploitation most musicians didn't talk about openly in '78. He carried that tension into sessions at Larrabee Sound in Los Angeles and MCA Whitney Studios in Glendale, where producer Mike Chapman wrapped the subject in radio softness.
Don't stop driving them. Wow, wow, wow.
Warm guitars, a steady pulse, Gilder's high tenor shining like neon against the night. Beneath the polish is a story about minors drifting into the street trade, spelled out in lines about a girl so young to be loose and on her own, and boys who all want to take her home. Many listeners never clocked the real subject, and the single still climbed all the way to number 1. Heard today, that theme, underage girls pulled into dangerous nightlife, would spark a far louder conversation than the song's smooth production ever could.
You really rock me. You really rock me.
Number 1, a blast of guitar, a shout you know instantly, and a history far older and far heavier than the hit suggests. Ram Jam, Black Betty, 1977.
Black Betty, bam lamb, whoa, Black Betty, bam lamb, Black Betty had a child, bam lamb.
Black Betty didn't begin with Ram Jam. Its roots stretch back decades into African American work songs documented in the 1930s. Collected by folklorists John and Alan Lomax, Sung in prison fields, carried from camp to camp long before scholars put microphones in front of anyone. Leadbelly's 1939 version kept it alive, but even he treated it as a piece of tradition rather than a song with a single author. When Ram Jam tracked their take at K&K Studios in Great Neck, New York in 1977, producers Jerry Cassanetes and Jeff Katz pushed the band to electrify it. Turning a fragment of folk history into a stadium-sized rock detonation. But the cultural weight came right along with the hook. Debates about what Black Betty refers to, a woman, a whip, a liquor bottle, a van, have been argued for generations. And questions about transforming a historic black work song into a rock bar anthem surfaced almost immediately, especially once rock radio blasted it nationwide. The arguments that surrounded it then still sit in the room today, only louder.
Bam-a-lam, she really gets me high. Bam-a-lam, you know that's no lie. Bam-a-lam, she's so right.
Bonus. A pop rock hook you recognized in 1 second, and a song fans still argue about. One-hit wonder or not? Raspberries Go All the Way, 1972. The Raspberries were pure pop rock. Cleveland kids stitching British Invasion sparkle to Midwestern muscle. At Record Plant in New York, producer Jimmy E. Enner sharpened everything. Wally Bryson's serrated intro, Eric Carmen easing into that breathy chorus, the whole track glowing like a summer night daydream. Released in 1972, it roared into the U.S. top 5, even as the BBC banned it for being too sexual. A clever lyric about young lovers going all the way that teenagers understood instantly, while censors mostly heard a love song. Nothing predatory, just suggestive enough to make a few programmers twitch. And even though the band scored more U.S. Top 40 hits, this is the track that locked them into the one-hit wonder debate. What lands differently now is the framing. The narrator's urging sits in the same cultural neighborhood as the recent re-examination of Baby It's Cold Outside. Not identical, but raising similar questions about intent and pressure. A classic pop rock single with a hook that shines and a storyline that still keeps listeners arguing. All right, rock experts, which one-hit wonder should have made this list? Drop your take in the comments.